Let's do some NBA talk, though. As we're getting even closer to the NBA playoffs, we have seen some amazing performances as of recently that I wanted to talk about. Little performances. I don't know how much I talked about these, but shout out to LeBron James for having a triple-double against Washington a couple nights ago. 47 points out of Shea in that overtime thriller against Detroit. Shea did not miss a shot in all of the fourth quarter in overtime. Yeah. Ayo Dosunmu against the Mavericks had a triple-double in a 30-point win over Dallas, 124-94. Wemby dropped 41 and 16 right after giving his MVP case. I thought that was pretty cool. Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns had a 26-point win over the Grizzlies. What up, Shaken? How you doing? But I want to move on and really talk about a couple of the games that happened the other day and a couple teams that are getting hot at the right times and a couple teams that are falling apart at the wrong time. Let's just say that. As much as I would love to give Ryan Rollins the Most Improved Player award, I have been an advocate for him all season long. 17 points, 4.6 rebounds, 5.6 assists. By far probably been the most surprising player in terms of just guys that come out of nowhere and appear and have really big games. If I had to go to my Most Improved Player, you'd have to look no further than the Atlanta Hawks guard, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I mean, how can you not give this guy Most Improved Player? He jumped from 9 points and 2.7 assists on mediocre shooting as a bench player off for the Timberwolves to starting over 70 games by the end of the season. He will for the Atlanta Hawks. 21 points a game, a 12 PPG jump, while being more of a shot creator, being better off ball, being just as good of a defender as we remembered him in Minnesota. 3.7 assists. His assists went up. His rebounds went up. His shooting percentages got better on more attempts. I think that's one of the things that you tend to look at is usage the only reason a guy's going to win Most Improved? Did he just improve his usage? No. Not only did he improve his usage, he improved his efficiency on top of it. He went from a 78% free throw shooter to a 90% free throw shooter on 4 more attempts a game. A couple more rebounds, an extra 0.7 steals a game. His defense has been otherworldly. But the main thing is 21 points per game after being a predominantly bench player since 2019 is so incredible. Shout out to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Found his home in Atlanta. He's on that 4-year deal. He's only making like $16 million a year, which looks like probably the biggest steal in the NBA right now for Nickeil Alexander-Walker over there in Atlanta. Didn't want to talk about him because I do think that he is running away with the Most Improved Player, but I want to give credit to Ryan Rollins because even if he doesn't win it, I do think he should deserve the credit for being probably one of the most improved players. Now, a lot of people are going to talk about the MVP running. It's basically between a couple guys, in my opinion. The only guys that I think are eligible to be up for the award, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, and Jaylen Brown, I think are the only names that we can really sit here and talk about in the MVP conversation. If I had to give my rankings for it, I hate to do this and kind of go with the mojo, but I do believe Shai is going to win MVP, and I do believe Shai is the most deserving of winning the MVP award. He's been the best fourth quarter player in the NBA in terms of overall points while playing like 15 fourth quarters less because their team is so good and they win all the time. They can win before the fourth quarter. So he doesn't even have to play in the fourth quarter for him to have that efficiency late down the stretch. It is incredible the seasons that he's having. You don't see guards have the ball like that, dominate the ball at usage as much as he does, only average 2.2 turnovers a game. If I look through all the top ball handlers and usage guys in the league, Luka Doncic is averaging 4 turnovers a game on probably similar usage. Jaylen Brown is averaging 3.6. Jokic is averaging 4. Devin Booker, 3.2. Jalen Brunson actually only 2.4 for Brunson. Good job. Kevin Durant at 3. Cade Cunningham at 4. Denny Avdia at 4. Jalen Johnson at 3.5. James Harden at 3.5. 2.2 is really, really low, especially for how much he has the ball in his hands late in fourth quarters in close games. But if you look through these recent numbers, I mean, he's always shooting above 50% from the field. He's likely making 1 or 2 threes every single game. Just the other day against Detroit, he got to the free throw line 25 times. 16 times the game before that, 12, 12, 11, 15. I just think that you have to give it to the best player on the best team right now when it's so question marked. He's played 64 games. He's hitting the minimum today. 38% from three, 55% shooting, which is, I mean, that's more than Kawhi Leonard. That's more than Victor. He's shooting 5% better from the field than Victor Wembanyama is. I mean, Zion Williamson is the only guy in the top 50 scorers in basketball. Only Zion is a better percentage shooter than Shea is. Zion, who takes only layups and dunks and only goes hard-nosed to the basket. I mean, it's crazy when you put it in perspective like that. 55% from the field for a top guard. I mean, comparing it to even a season of Kobe Bryant's. Like, if we go to Kobe Bryant's stats, Kobe was on teams that just dominated the regular season in the Lakers, specifically those early 2000s with Shaq. Even with Shaq alongside him, he was shooting 45%, 43% from the field, 46% at best. I mean, Shea is up 10% on that. Than the greatest guard seasons in NBA history. So if you really want to talk about offensive efficiency, 2.2 turnovers and 55% shooting from the field. It just doesn't get better than that. And for that reason, I do have Shea winning the MVP. If I had to give my second best, I really want to give it to Wemby because of his, defense is worth 50% of the game and how good he's been offensively in the second half of the season. But I don't think that you can just blink and give Wemby over what Luka has done all season long for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think anyone would go into the season had the Lakers really as like a top contender. I know they have Luka and LeBron, but outside of that, it was like the question marks of DeAndre Ayton, the question marks of Jake Oravia, Marcus Smart, Rui Hachimura. Not a lot of people counted the Lakers to be having home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. That was something I don't think a lot of people really thought, especially not better than Denver. Definitely not better than Houston going into it. I didn't even have them better than Minnesota. And yet they are 4 games up on them. Luka leading the NBA in scoring. If you watch a Lakers game, you can really understand why Luka is going to be my second MVP. The stats will show it on the box score, but even then, I think his offensive impact on the Lakers is so much higher than any other player's offensive impact is on their teams. Outside of Shea and like Jokic, I think Luka is in that tier, and if not, maybe a little higher in that tier in terms of the overall work he has to put in on a night-to-night basis. Offensively. Now, let's not act like he isn't top 10 in charges drawn this year. He's not one of the best steals per game in this NBA season. He's averaging the most points per game he's averaged in his career. 37% from three. One of the best shooting splits of his career. 1.7 steals a game. You're really starting to see him, bend his knees and buckle down on defense. I am going to give the nod to Luka Doncic as my second in MVP voting. I just think he deserves it for the season that he's had with the Lakers. Third, I would give to Wemby. Fourth, I would give to Jokic. And fifth, I would give to Jaylen Brown. I understand why Jaylen Brown's getting a lot of the talk because obviously 51 wins, second in the East. The East is obviously a lot easier than the West is, if we're comparing Jaylen Brown versus Jokic per se. But Jokic has had a quote-unquote down year. Did my fourth in goals ever ship? Yes, Biker, they did ship. We don't have them anymore, so I can guarantee that they did ship. I will double check on the tracking though after this if I get a chance. I'm not sure, Biker. I'll get back to you on that. I'll DM you after stream if I can figure out the answer. But even in a down year for Jokic, he's leading the NBA in rebounds and leading the NBA in assists, 8th in the NBA in points, 9th in the entire league in field goal percentage, 1.4 steals per game, 0.8 blocks per game. Yes, his technical, numbers are down. Okay, good to know, Biker. I'll double check when I get off stream on it and see what I can find. 17 shots a game. He's taking less shots than he did last year. He's also playing less minutes. I don't think you can undermine the value of Nikola Jokic on this Nuggets team. I know that, Jaylen Brown has had an amazing season with the Boston Celtics, but I think the Celtics do it a little bit more in Missoula ball than they have with just Jaylen Brown this year. He is 5th in the NBA in scoring, 30th in rebounds, 33rd in assists. He's having a fantastic year. The Celtics are the 2 seed for a reason. But I still don't think that I can definitively say that Jaylen Brown is worth more to the Celtics than Jokic is to the Nuggets this season. I think I would give the nod to Jokic slightly over Brown. But that's going to be my MVP talk. A couple other teams that I'd like to talk about as we head closer to the playoffs and performances that have happened over the past couple days. Steve Kerr came out right before this Spurs-Warriors game and got asked, what are you going to do about Victor Wembanyama? And he said, nah, don't worry. I got an idea. I got a game plan. And then Wemby at halftime had 27 points and 13 rebounds. Yeah, you heard me right. Finished the game with 41 points and 18 rebounds with 0 turnovers, guys. Not 1 turnover on the game. So I don't know what Steve Kerr's game plan was heading into it, but I can guarantee you it didn't work. And we're starting to get to the point now where not a lot works against Wemby. He is 22 years old. He doesn't turn 23 for another 9 months. And he is perfecting the NBA in terms of his defensive impact, finally learning how to get to his spots and dominate offensively. He's not playmaking as much, but as Castle and Fox are taking over more and more in that role, Wemby's just starting to become more of a prolific scorer later in the season. It's impressive. If you turn on a Spurs game and watch, I watched a lot of this Warriors game, and I mean, having Omer Yurtseven and LJ Cryer and Draymond really trying to guard him, while Wemby is how you doing, my guy? While Wemby is technically guarding Draymond Green, and when I say technically, I mean he's literally standing in the paint while Draymond Green is standing 20 feet away shooting threes. I mean, it was a bad performance for the Golden State Warriors yesterday, but Wemby is turning better and better as a player. I think he's really defining himself on the offensive side of the court. We know his defensive impact, but the more I watch Wemby heading into the playoffs, the more I really do fear the San Antonio Spurs in a 7-game series. And I really do think if they can live up to their potential, they're the only team in the Western Conference that could give the Thunder the run for their money just because of the interior play of Victor Wembanyama, and their guard play has just been getting better over the second half of the season. Stephon Castle is becoming the primary playmaker in San Antonio, and I love the performance there. Also, lastly, before I do go and stop talking about basketball, the last performance and guy I want to give credit to is, I know he got suspended 25 games for using some substances you're not supposed to, but ever since coming back from that, Paul George has finally looked like Paul George again. Like he's going into his bully ball. He's getting into his bag at the perimeter. He's looking defenders in the eye. He's getting into his spots. Makes me happy to see. But it makes me happy to see because I want the Sixers to play well in the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to because knowing Game 3 of the first round, I bet you Maxey and Embiid have fallen too many times and they're probably going to be hurt. But I do want to say I've been loving what I've been seeing from Paul George over the past couple of days in recent games. It hasn't been against the best defensive teams, but I think the Sixers are looking up and up. And the Atlanta Hawks are the best team over the past month of the season, 17-2 in their past 19 games. Shout out to the Atlanta Hawks because they're a team now that are probably going to play Cleveland in the first round. And I think Atlanta could give Cleveland a little run for their money if they do it right. I think Jalen Johnson's going to be the difference maker there. That Jalen Johnson-Evan Mobley matchup, interior versus versatility. I can't wait to see who comes out on top between that. What up, Lakeside? How you doing? I'm going to end that basketball.